At first glance, this is just a normal village. That is, until you turn around and see the massive sea monster on the horizon. So, how do we fix this problem? You could build a wall, maybe a moat, or, if you're feeling up to it, a gigantic emerald-powered iron golem. I think you all see where this is going, so let's get straight into it. The first item that we're going to need is quartz, 10,000 to be exact. How are we going to do it? Well, simple. Villagers, more specifically stonemasons. Because once they are leveled up to the maximum, they will offer a block of quartz for an emerald apiece. I can buy 12 blocks off of this guy in one go, 2 times a day, which means that I can get 24 blocks of quartz per day per villager. That's obviously not going to cut it if we need 10,000 quartz, so let's get a bunch more. Just need to add a second floor to the trading hall, which I wasn't expecting to have to do so soon, but hey, that's basically Minecraft hardcore in a nutshell these days. And there we go. Now we just need to get the villagers in. To make things a little bit more interesting, I have this note block here, and every time I click it, one more villager will be added into the trading hall. This will be very quick for you all, and not so quick for me. Now, all I have to do is trade for 6 shulker boxes of quartz. This is going to be incredibly painful. I knew this was going to take a while, but I'm less than a shulker box in, so I'm going to keep working on this, and while I do, let's go over to the build site. The first thing that I want to do is build a wall around the entire village. That will be our first line of defense. Just need to make a quick dirt outline. That'll work. Then we need to head back to the spruce forest that we found in the last episode. And then gather up a couple thousand pieces of spruce. Yes, thousands. I really need a wood farm. Here's a little sample of what I'm going for, and you can probably see why this is going to take a lot of logs. And yeah, I think that's pretty good. Now, time to see how the trading's going. And for the observant ones out there, you may have noticed that my level is quite high. And, yeah, you'll see why. It has taken an almost incomprehensible amount of time, but after many hours of work, I have 5 and almost 6 shulker boxes of quartz fully traded with, and I never want to do that again. But after all that, it's time to do the last trading session, and I thought I'd take you through my process of what I do day to day, because after all of this trading, I've pretty much perfected the strategy to get as much quartz as possible per day. To start, I wait here until the villagers refresh their trades, and once they refresh their trades, I head over to the farmers and trade away as many pumpkins and melons as I can. I then move on to the iron traders, and finish with the cartographers. And once I've made my emeralds for the day, it's time to trade with the stonemasons. Oh, and I forgot to mention that the process with just these ones up top was going a little bit too slowly, so I added 3 more here and a whole nother section to the left of the originals. A full day of trading gets me around 5 stacks of quartz, which is fast, but when you need 6 shulker boxes, it's not really fast enough. But there we have it, 6 completely filled shulker boxes of quartz. There's just one problem. I want smooth quartz. So, I think it's finally time for us to build a super smelter. To start, we're going to place a double chest followed by 27 hoppers. Then we place our furnaces on top, followed by hoppers on the back and on the top of the furnaces. On the back end, we're going to need a few building blocks with some redstone torches, followed by a line of rails. Then we just need to build a quick minecart loader. And with that, the smelter is complete. All you have to do is put a bunch of lava buckets into this chest minecart. Then all we have to do is put the quartz inside of the top chest, and the furnace should start functioning. Using lava as a fuel is a little bit tedious, but I prefer it over having to make a farm for some other fuel source. Oh, and don't ask me how I got down here. While this thing works, let's go back to the village and start working on where the iron golem is going to be placed. Alright, so I've gone ahead and laid out the outline of where the feet of the iron golem are going to be, and as you can probably tell, this thing is going to be pretty big. So before we can actually start building, we need to terraform the land up to the feet, and also clear out some of these buildings which are going to be in the way of the build. Starting with this house. Sorry, villagers. Next, I'm going to use a bunch of dirt to create a stick figure version of the build. Those are the legs. These are the torso and arms. And that is the head. If I haven't mentioned it yet, this thing's going to be pretty big. Now, all we need to do is gather the rest of the materials. Alright, the materials have been gathered. At least, most of them. We still need one thing, and that thing is string. So, despite my absolute hatred for them, we're going to need to build a spider farm. Step 1 is going to be finding a mine shaft, which will hopefully lead to a spawner. And here we go, 2 spawners actually. So, I guess we're going to be making a double spawner XP farm. I'll start by making a beacon and then digging out the area around the spawners. Because the spawners are surface level, I actually need to build up walls and a roof, which is pretty weird for a spawner farm. Next, we need to set up the water streams, which will be a little bit more difficult as we're working with 2 spawners instead of 1. And with that, the farm should be complete. Now we just need to close it up and give it a test. It's definitely not going to win any awards for looks, but you know what? It's functional, and that's all that really matters. Funny enough, this is actually the first dedicated XP farm of the world, which is a little ironic, but you know what? I'll take what I can get. But I'm just going to sit here until we have enough string, and then after that, we can finally start building. Before we start building, I do want to mention that I'm using a mod known as Lightmatica, which creates a virtual schematic that I can use as a reference when I'm building. To explain how I made the schematic, I took an iron golem and created a 1-to-1 replica with each pixel on the iron golem texture being a block of the build. Once I had that 1-to-1 model, I then scaled it up by around 4 times so that we got a much larger final result. Now that that's explained, let's start building. With the legs now built up, you can really start to get a sense of the scale that we're going for, because yeah, this thing is going to absolutely dwarf the village. But before we continue building, I did want to pivot a little bit and focus more on the actual village itself, because right now it's kind of a mess. There are paths absolutely everywhere, and honestly, not enough buildings, so I had an idea. Instead of gathering our own materials to build more houses for the village, we could just go and find a different Plains village and steal all of the buildings. So, activate Operation Village Heist. The name is a work in progress. I would call that a very successful heist. Now we just need to go ahead and build the houses up in this village. With the extra houses now in, things are starting to look a lot more complete. I also went ahead and cleaned up the paths around the village as they were looking really messy. For now though, I do want to get back to building the actual golem, as that is the focus of the video, so let's get back to it. This looks incredibly cursed, but you know what? We're making progress, so I'll take it. But in the interest of not having this iron golem look like a bloated stick figure, let me get these arms done. With the arms now built up, you can begin to see why this village doesn't really need that many defenses, because, yeah, the golem's kind of doing most of the work. Now, before we build the head, there is one problem that we need to address, and that is the mob farm that is beginning to develop inside of the golem. I honestly have no idea how to go about this. Oh, this is bad. This is bad. Alright, that's the torso. Now time for the arms and the legs. That right there looks like the end of a hardcore world. Please don't. No. Oh, that is unfortunate. Why are you blowing up my build? How did that zombie get his hands on an ender pearl? Alright, now that that's dealt with, let's finish this build. And with that, the body of the golem is complete. But we're not even close to done. And that's because we still have an entire interior to design. And obviously, an interior of this size is going to take an absolute boatload of materials. The first of which being around 3 shulker boxes of polished basalt. Just need to build up a quick beacon. Perfect. Let's go ahead and set that to haste 2, and then get harvesting. So there we have it, 3 shulker boxes of basalt, and a fully cleared out basalt delta. Let me just quickly repair my pickaxes, and then let's move on to gathering some deep slate. It's been a while since I was back down here. But anyways, unlike the basalt, deep slate is not insta-mineable, which means that even though we only need to get 1 shulker box, it's going to take a lot longer. So let's get straight to it. Well, in case you were wondering what 1 shulker box of deep slate mined out looks like, here you go. Now let's go ahead and get the rest of these materials gathered so that we can start building the interior of the golem. First things first, the floor. Since this is a factory, we're going to be going with more of an industrial feel with the polished deep slate and iron blocks. To keep the industrial theme going, I'm going to use polished basalt to create pillars that will go up to the roof and give the room more support. And to keep things simple, in the middle we're just going to use black concrete. This is already starting to look really cool, and we haven't even started the centerpiece for the build yet, the Emerald Forge. The forge is going to be placed right here on the torso of the iron golem, so once again we're going to be using a lot of deep slate, which I feel contributes really well to the secretive hidden theme that we're going for. For the fiery part of the furnace, we're going to be using a mixture of yellow glass panes, orange glass panes, and red glass panes, because we can't actually use any fire as that would cause the wool of the build to burn down. Behind the glass panes, we can use a mixture of shroom lights and red concrete to give the illusion of fire. And then up top, once again, we're going to be using more deep slate to create the top of the furnace. Right now, you can tell that this build is a factory, but you can't really tell that it is an emerald factory. So, let's add some fuel. On each side of the forge, I'm going to add a raised platform that will hold a giant block of emeralds. This is going to be very expensive, but luckily I do have a lot of emerald blocks left over from the quartz trading. That was almost 6 stacks of blocks, and it still wasn't enough. Well, back to my favorite place in this world. Hopefully this is enough. Actually, that was more than enough. To give the emerald blocks a little bit more detail, I'm going to be using a mixture of chains and, again, deep slate, to create some supports to hold the blocks in. Now this right here, this is an emerald factory. There are a few more details that I want to add to the factory, but before we do that, I do want to add in the redstone as I think it's going to add in a lot of life to the factory. The first thing that I want to build is a piston elevator that will transport us from the bottom of the factory all the way to the top of the head. The only problem is I don't really have any redstone supplies right now, so it's time for a montage. A redstone gathering montage to be more specific. Without further ado, let's get some redstone. Once again, I've gotten carried away at Fort Scoot and have made quite a few upgrades. The first of which was expanding the fence around the entire area in order to fully enclose it. I also expanded the turtle sanctuary, got a few new frog friends, and befriended a couple of pillagers. Their names are Phil and Ager. Of course, I also have all of the honey blocks that we're going to need in order to construct the elevator. Alright, let's build an elevator. To start off, we're going to create a ring of blast furnaces. Underneath the blocks of the platform, we're going to place a line of slime blocks, and then a line of honey blocks, and you guessed it, a line of slime blocks, and a line of honey blocks. Then we need to create the circuit that will activate the flying machine and send it upward. And the last step is just to place a button that will activate the machine. However, before we can go ahead and activate it, we do need to go up to the top of the iron golem and create the circuit that will allow us to send the machine back down. And with that, the machine should be ready to go. Okay, it's time to test, and I won't lie, I'm very nervous. Okay, the flying machine seems to be working. Now we just have to hope that the landing mechanism on the top is functional. Please. Yes! It actually worked. That is a lot of spiders. That went a lot better than I expected, so let's go ahead and move on to the emerald waterfalls. We're going to start off by creating the collection systems for each of the emerald waterfalls. Just need a block of ice, then a block of soul sand, and then a tunnel up to the top of the waterfall. Then we just repeat 3 more times. Now for the actual redstone. We're going to place droppers in front of each of the water streams and cobwebs underneath the droppers. Then we just need to run a line of redstone into each of the droppers that will connect to an etho hopper clock that will dispense the items out in timed intervals. And there we go, about every 5 seconds, another row of emerald blocks will be dropped into the furnace. That is, in my opinion, pretty satisfying. We just have a few more things left to do to complete the factory, the first of which is going to be building the ceiling and tunnel where the elevator will come down. I don't know about you all, but I am in the mood for some editing magic, so boom, finish ceiling and tunnel. There's just one more thing that I want to add, and for that thing, we're going to need lava. A lot of lava. We're going to use this lava to create pillars that will provide both light to the room and also finish off the industrial theme that we're going for. Hopefully that lines up. Perfect. That's number 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. So, yeah. With that done, the factory is now complete. There are a few more things that I want to add before we go ahead and conquer the final goal of the video. To mix things up, I'm just going to say one word from each of the changes that we make. So, let's get straight to it. Clean, saplings, villagers, creepers, lights, trees, farms, sugarcane, bamboo, bushes, bone meal, flowers. Now this is more like it. But with both the village and Iron Golem complete, it's time for the final goal of this episode, defeating a fully max level raid. For those of you wondering how to get a max level raid, it's pretty simple. You just have to kill multiple pillager captains to get a higher level of the bad omen effect. The max level is 6, so we're going to have to kill 6 pillager captains. And that is bad omen level 5, though I do think it's actually level 6 because I did kill 6 pillager captains. I need to be very careful that I don't go anywhere near my villager trading hall, because that will start a raid there, which would be not good. Anyways, that is the Iron Golem. This is the moment. Let's get this started. And that is the raid bar starting up. We can go ahead, hop on the cherry tree, and deal with these initial waves. Last pillager of the first wave. Moving on to number 2. That's wave number 2. There we go, that's the first wave with the Ravager. Oh, that's bad. That is very bad. Come back here, Mr. Ravager. Alright, wave number 3 complete. Where is that next wave coming from? Oh, are they in here? Oh, they are. Let's take care of these guys. One more pillager remaining. Wave number 5, I think? Oh, that's a big one. Hello. I really want that totem. Let's go and grab that totem real quick. Thank you. Oh, that feels so much better. Oh, wow. Oh, wow. We might need that totem. Hello? Arrows, please hit the Ravager. Thank you. Coming from the right again. They love this little cave. You need to stop spawning here. Perfect. Let's get out of here. That is a lot of pillagers. Oh, wow, that is a lot of X's. How am I supposed to take care of the actual pillagers? That's one evoker down. Oh, we're down. We are down. I am praying that this is the last wave. The Ravagers are quick. There's the guy that keeps spawning all those Vexes. Oh, there's another wave. That's just wonderful. That is so many pillagers. 3 Ravagers in one wave. I've never seen that before. Come get me. Thank you for the totem, good sir. One more. Hero of the village. That was a lot more than I bargained for. Now I just get to go celebrate with the villagers. Hopefully none of them died. Yes, I saved you from the raid that I started. You're welcome. But with all that said, I hope you all enjoyed the video. If you did, consider leaving a like and subscribing. But with that, this has been GlitchNOut. Goodbye, everyone.